Now, while preparing the plan and while we are setting the goals, the organization may face some problem. There must be some difficulties and obstacles that they have to face, and they also have to think how they can overcome those problems. So first of all, let's see some common problems for setting the goals and plans. There are some common problems that managers may face, for example, inappropriate goal, improper reward system, and so on. And there are some possible ways through which we can overcome. Let's go with some details. The first barrier is if the goal is not appropriate. So if the goal is not appropriate, then you are moving for an improper target, and ultimately whatever you want to achieve at the end of the day, you are not going to get that. And another important point is, if the goal is qualitative, then it is difficult to understand. So quantitative goal is easy to understand and measurable for the actions. So improper goal ultimately will guide you for improper plan, so as improper path. The second one is improper reward system. And when we are setting our goals, we want that our employees will be very much focused to achieve those goals. But in return, they are looking for some reward. So if the reward is not appropriate based on the difficulty levels of goals, then definitely the plan is not going to make the expected result. Sometimes business organization may be so rigid to accept the changes of business environment, or the culture of the organization is very complex to make the changes based on the change of business environment. So if there is adaptation problem, then definitely this problem will create more obstacles to adopt the new changes. Sometimes managers are reluctant to establish some goals, especially if it is a very smaller period of time or a very small goal, then they are reluctant to address or set that goals. And sometimes they get lost, and ultimately they are going to lose their path. Sometimes organizations show their rigidness to accept the new changes. That is going to create another barrier to move or keep the pace with the organizational change or development. Beyond this, there is another problem, that is constraints, that is related with resource. Maybe you need a certain pattern of technologically advanced employee which is not available right now in your organization, and also you cannot hire this kind of intellectual people because of your financial limitation. Or maybe this kind of expert people is not also available in outside. So these kinds of constraints regarding all pattern of resources sometimes create problems to adopt the perfect plan for achieving the targeted goals. So these are the obstacles that a company may face. Now, what are the possible ways to overcome? The very first one is managers must be very sure about their effectiveness of setting goals. So whether they are preparing the proper goals or targeting the proper goals, and whether they are also understanding the limitations of those goals. So it should be very specific, and it should be communicated in a proper way with the related people so that they can also understand. That is the communication and participation. So sometimes we prefer that while we are developing the strategies, the related employees will be involved, and so that will work as their motivation, as well as uh, different points of views will be discussed, and so that we can come up with more realistic plan. And this kind of planning and goal setting also help the employees to be more committed toward works, and sometimes they will take their own responsibility for doing these kinds of activities. Then consistency, revision and updating. Preparing a plan or fixing some goals are not enough, or it is not a single time task. Rather than, first of all, they have to maintain the consistency. So from the mission statement to operational goal, there must be some consistency. Moreover, the goals or targets for different departments should maintain the consistency. So both horizontally and vertically, there will be a chain relationship between the goals. Then we have to very much sure about the adaptation with the change. That is, we have to monitor the goals and plans, whether they are consistent with the external environments of the organization. Sometimes we have to revise the goals and plans if it is required to adjust with the changes, and sometimes we have to develop it in a better way, so that the goals and plan make the uh, consistency with the advanced business environment. And finally, the effective reward systems. So people will be motivated when there is a clear, proper reward system. It is important to ensure that each and every person is getting reward based on their performance. So if two employees are working to achieve two different goals, where one goal is comparatively very much complex and difficult, and both of them achieve their goals, and if we give the reward in the same level, then the person who achieved the more difficult goals will be disappointed and demotivated, and next time he is not going to give that much effort for any difficult task. So that will be demotivating. So it's very important to understand the critical level of the task, the complexity of the goal, and then based on those we have to ensure the proper reward system. So this is how the company can maintain the consistency, relevancy, realistic and updated goal setting and planning activities, even though there are some common barriers.